Hello survivors and welcome to another Walking Dead Road to Survival video, and in this video we're going to be taking a first look at Mythic Andrea 2000, who is a character that is going to be a part of the Underground Resistance event. If you haven't seen the information on that event, please do check it out because she is going to be exclusively available in there, and you can grind your way to 4 of her free to play if you so wish. It's going to be quite the grind, but you are going to be able to get your hands on up to 4 of this character if you so wish. If you can see her on the right hand side, you can see she's got a damn big gun. Let's be honest, we've had a laugh about this on my stream a couple of times in the past when there's been little characters, you know, like Carl and Sophia holding really massive sniper rifles, but this isn't a little character. There's a grown woman and the gun is nearly as big as she is. It's absolutely nuts. It's like a phase. It's awesome. The animations, everything's awesome here. Now her arms, if you look on the left hand side, you get a bit better of a view, kind of remind me of Jax, if anyone remembers Jax from Mortal Kombat, I think it is, or Colossus, I believe. Like the kind of metal arms. I guess she's got fake arms here. They have been replaced. Bionic upgrades for sure. But this is Andrea, how we kind of know her. She's always going to have the big gun. She knows how to shoot. She is going to hit pretty hard, a tough character. We'll check out her stats. As a Limit Break 1 level 640 character, she has got 16,677 attack, 13,606 defense, and 13,606 HP. She is a tough character, like I said before. She is considered a damage dealer, mythic character of course, and she is the last member of the Skybound X Allegiance of the 5 characters you will be required to get if you want to go for Command Rick once the Skybound X Mythic trial comes along. Okay, so first off we'll check out Andrea's Adrenaline Rush, and it is called Bolts of Lightning. It has got a recharge rate of 66 AP, which is pretty fast. Deal 4 attacks for 200% damage, which is 800% total, to 1 enemy. This character gets a 25% attack buff for 2 turns. Now, this is kind of what we kind of used to these sort of rushes where it's multi-hit. It will do effects on attack. It will obviously have potentially, you know, being able to be controlled by defense teams. But 4 attacks is quite a lot. Quite similar to a character we've got in the game already, Princess. But I will say that this character's kit is obviously very different to Princess's, so you're going to deal with it in a very different way. The second part of this is just going to buff her. I'm not sure if the buffs come in after the very first hit or if they come in afterwards. I think we might be able to check that out, but it's definitely going to buff her next turn, which would be a basic attack or potential signature move. So there would be a bit of an increased damage there. Okay, so I'm going to attack with Andrea here, and as you can see, she has got a 20% attack buff, and this is because she's got a 20 AP to self and 20% attack buff on her weapon that I've put in her hands. It's 100% a weapon that I put in her hands just for the tests. And we're going to try and get her a first turn rush. We do a basic attack, we command her, we do a Glen crit, and she's now got a first turn rush. Now we're going to hit this rush with her, and hopefully we take out Zeke and maybe clean up 1 or 2 other characters on the side. We're going to just hit the rush. 1 big hit comes in, and we should take out someone else. There we go. Well, 1.8 million. But as you can see, that's how it would work. You take out 1 character, and other characters around the character will get the other hits. Now you're probably noticing other things that are going on. We're going to get a little bit onto that further on in the video. Now the upgrades for Andrea 2000's Rush are as follows. At grade 2, she gets in a 25% attack up for 2 turns buff. That is the tacked on little buff at the end. At grade 4, she gets 100% damage per attack, and that is actually pretty huge. That would double the overall damage output from 400% to 800%. Well, actually, it actually doubles it from 300% to 600%, because at Limit Break 1, you can see she gets the extra attack. So getting that limit broken character is going to be extremely important for Andrea. The difference between 3 and 4 attacks is going to be pretty big, especially with how her kit works, and you'll see why, like I say, in a bit. But I don't necessarily see this rush as being meant to be spectacular damage dealing in itself. It's the rest of her kit that's going to amplify this in a certain particular way. And like I said, you probably worked out how, and there have been characters in the past that have worked reasonably similar. And yeah, Andrea's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to say that right now. Andrea's going to be a lot of fun, and this rush is going to enable her just to hit a lot of time. And that's going to be great for Andrea and her kit. But before we get on to the exact reason why that happens, we'll check out her signature move first. It is called Gathering Clouds. It has got an initial cooldown of turn 2, cooldown of 4 turns, number of uses unlimited. Deal a basic attack for 200% damage to 1 enemy. This character gets 40% stun and impair resistance for 3 turns. So quite a lot going on in this signature move, probably why the cooldown is quite long. But it's a very heavy hitting signature move. 200% is no joke. That is going to really hurt somebody. That's one of the hits on her rush. Very nice. The impair and stun resistance is nice. It's only 40%, but it does mean you don't necessarily have to run these resists. You could run confuse resist, or you could run taunt resist. You could run a different resist. There are a couple of characters that have got buffs. You've got Mirabelle, who've got a turn 1 confuse now, and you're going to have Connor, who's got a turn 1 taunt. So these characters are going to be a bit more annoying on defense teams, so you might want to run resist to stop those from being a big issue. So this can be seen as a little bit of a bonus. It is only 40% like I said, but it's going to mean that 2 times out of every 5 times you're going to get stunned, you're going to resist it, which isn't too bad. Okay, so we're on turn 1, and what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to defend with everybody. And the reason I'm going to do this is just because I only want to show you her signature move, nothing else that's happening. And I'm going to target this character down here. I'm going to target Glenn, and we're just going to only do the signature move, get that hit in, and it will hit for 200% damage, and that's a reasonable amount of damage in Glenn's case. You can see some other stuff has happened as well, which we will get into, but it's a reasonable hit. She's now got the resistances, 40% impair resistance, 40% stun resistance. Those last for 3 turns, and it won't be a natural cycle. By the time it comes around again, I think there's going to be a 1-turn break in that resistance. However, there is going to be a little bit of a buff to this signature move with a Limit Break 2 upgrade. So looking at the upgrades for her signature move, you can see at grade 3 it gets a -1 cooldown. At grade 5 it gets a double damage up to 200%, as it gets a 100% damage boost. This is quite important to get her to grade 5 to get the best out of her when it comes to her offensive capability here, to do as much damage as possible. But you don't necessarily have to look at this again as a damage dealing hit. It's more can be used in a way with the rest of her kit, which we were going to get onto next, because it is the passives, in terms of amplifying her damage in a different way. Now she has got a Limit Break 2 in her signature move, and it isn't that big a change, honestly. As you can see, Limit Break 2, she gets -1 cooldown onto this signature move, so it goes from turn 4 to turn 3, and this isn't really that big a deal, honestly. If it was turn 3 initially and then went to turn 2, that would be massive, but she really needs a turn 2 cooldown. She's not going to be rushing fast enough. She kind of has to have a 20% AP to self weapon, otherwise she's not going to rush it fast enough in terms of turn 3, just because she's only going to be getting 60 AP after 2 turns. She's quite a slow character when it comes to AP gain. If you've got manipulators, that's fine. If you've got 8% weapons in your team, or if you've got a Glenn like I was just using there. Now you could potentially use a Rick, if you want to get that to rush a turn earlier, but I wouldn't really recommend it, using a Rick to make her rush turn 3. You could definitely just use a 20% AP to a self weapon, like I said. Now we get on to the big parts of her kit. This is what is going to make the big difference, and it is Andrea 2000's Mythic Abilities. And as you can see, she's got agility, so because she's a damage dealer, she's going to get an attack boost with each one of those hits on her rush, the hit on her signature move, her basic attacks. This is good for her. The first passive here, Electrical Burns. When attacking, the target enemy gets 15% of this character's attack in burn damage for 2 turns. You would have noticed that on both of the clips I had before. I could have asked Scopely not to give me an upgraded passive in this case, just to hide it a little bit, but it's very powerful. Obviously, this is basically like the signature move of certain characters, like Dwight, in terms of burn damage, and she gets it with just basic attacks. She's going to get it with her signature move, she's going to get it with her rush, and obviously with other, even more parts of her kit, which if you just look on, you can see the potential for this is going to be huge. And we'll check out the next passive. It's called Thunder Veil. When attacking, a 30% chance to get absolute defense and reduce reflected and counter damage to 0. This is quite good. It's very much like the Sandy one. I didn't like the Sandy one when I first reviewed her, but after I was using it for a bit, it is useful to have. It is only 30% chance. It is only going to be like 1 in 3 times. But you don't necessarily have to build this character for crit, which I would normally advise on multi-hit characters. This character, I wouldn't go that way. I'd go for flat attack, trying to get an attack stat as high as possible. And that's because of the burn on this passive. You want to get that attack stat as high as possible, because it's taking the attack stat into account when it comes to her, when it comes to the burn. And it also takes buffs into account. So if she has a 40% attack buff, it will take that into account as well. Now the last passive is called Lightning Rod. When attacking a target with a burn status, 30% chance that enemy gets crosshairs for 2 turns. This is actually nice as well. It is quite heavy RNG. The guarantee is the burn, the other 2 are RNG, but 30% chance that, you know, they will get crosshairs, and if they're taken out of crosshairs, it's a decap. So she's actually pretty nice in that case if you take her onto something like Conquest, and I do think she's going to be fairly viable on Conquest with the rest of her kit, which we're going to be looking at in a bit. But just because of the burn damage potential, and you could potentially just build her to do a lot of your damage, you'd have to protect her quite heavily because she still need heavy attack stat, but I think there's definitely potential there. Okay, so pretty straightforward on this one. I'm going to just attack a character. We're going to attack the LED up here. I'm going to do a basic attack, and you can see that I did burn damage because I've got the passive of burn. She's going to have 6,774. Apparently that is 15% of this character's attack stat. You can see she did get stunned, but I'm going to roll this back, and we're going to have a strong attacks weapon in here with a couple of extra strong characters on the side. Okay, so we'll start again, and as you can see, she's now got a 40% attack buff. This is because the strong attacks weapon will override the weapon buff that she's got, which is only 20%. Now we'll do exactly the same attack. We'll do a basic attack here against LED, and you can see that a burn has jumped up because it does take the buffs into account. It is now 8,000. Now do remember, with your lieutenant system, you're going to be able to buff the attack stat of Andrea way up. You can get probably 70 to 80,000 damage without too much of a problem, and that's base before the 40% attack stat comes in. You know, that is going to be a big boost. You're probably going to be able to get between 15 and 20,000 burn if you really try and get Andrea's attack stat as high as possible. Okay, so I think by now you're starting to piece together the potential for Andrea's kit, and I will show you the full potential in the next clip because it will be showing the specialist skill as well. As you can see on the upgrades though, for the passives, at grade 1 is an electrical burns upgrade, and this is the cheapest one to upgrade and is probably the most effective. It is going to be the 15% of this character's attack stat in burn damage for 2 turns on anything she does: basic attack, rush, signature move. Really effective. She gets agility 1 at grade 2. At grade 3 she gets Thunder Veil 1, which is going to be 15% of that 30% chance to absolute defense, and then at grade 4 she gets the other 15% as Thunder Veil 2 comes in. Grade 5 she's going to have Lightning Rod, and that's the 30% chance for crosshairs. At grade Limit Break 1 she's going to have Agility 2, and that's when the extra 10% attack damage is going to come in for her when it comes to hitting those rush hits, those basic attacks, and that signature move. Agility does not affect the amount of burn damage she's going to do, however, this is worth noting, but it will actually impact the damage that she does on the actual hits. Now Andrea again has a Limit Break 2 upgrade on these passives, and it is a boost to Lightning Rod. It goes to Lightning Rod 2. When attacking a target with the burn status, she gets an extra 15% chance that the enemy will get crosshairs for 2 turns. So it goes from 30% chance up to 45% chance. That is actually pretty decent, nearly, you know, 50-50. So that's actually pretty good, and she's going to be attacking characters with burn quite a lot. And that is because of her specialist skill, which is Firestarter. I believe she is the first character in the Mythic era to have Firestarter. This is whenever a character attacks a character suffering from burn, an adjacent target will be affected with a copy of that effect. So it is nice. It spreads the burn. Is a guaranteed that it targets the burn as well. You can get weapons that do pain spread, but it's completely RNG what effect it actually spreads. Whereas for Firestarter, it's guaranteed to be the burn, and I believe it's for the same amount of turns that is on the main character. So with her, you know, passive being 2 turns, she'll spread a 2-turn burn to the characters around them. Now this specialist skill works in a multitude of ways, and I'm going to show you the first way it works. If you do a basic attack, it will do the burn of her passive, but it will spread it instantly. This happened with, I believe, 6-star Rhodey, the strong character, with her weapon. It was awesome, and it works exactly the same way here. She instantly puts the character on fire, and then the specialist skill comes in after her passive and spreads it to Rick down here, as you can see. So off of turn 1, her basic attack will burn 2 with a 15% burn, guaranteed unless there's resists involved. Okay, so now the second way that this specialist skill can work is with a double attack weapon. We're going to attack Ezekiel again. If we hit the double attack, it should spread the fire twice, so there should be 3 characters on fire. We're going to hit the basic attack. It is going to double attack, and as you can see, we have got Zeke, Elodie, and Rick who are burning, because the double attack hits the initial passive fire twice and spreads it once to Elodie and twice to Rick. Now lastly, I'm going to show you how it works with her Adrenaline Rush, because each one of those hits can spread the burn, and like I showed you before, she can get a first turn rush if you really try and build it that way, and that means that everyone on the defensive team would be on fire in that situation. As you can see, we have obviously burnt, or like actually destroyed one character, but everyone else is burnt, as it spread the burn to every single character. And imagine this is 15 to 20,000 burn. You've got Abraham in the team, can full up double any of those burns. This would be great for Conquest, but even just Andrea by herself, this is going to be crazy for raids, just in terms of the first turn potential where she can get burn on every single character, and she's pretty much job done at that point. So very potent specialist skill for sure, and has a lot of potential. You can use very different weapons with this character, but like I said, I think the way to go with the combat mods is pure attack stat, just to get her attack as high as possible. There are very much varied options, and varied options based on the game modes you want to use her in. Now, Andrea does have an attached weapon, which is, you know, obvious. It's absolutely massive. Andrea 2000's Fierce Laser Cannon. Now, it is a 5-star weapon because I have to upgrade it myself. It starts off as a 4-star weapon, and we can see that it gets a 25% attack bonus, a medium bonus to AP when attacking, bonus attack, 35% attack when attacking enemies of more than 60% HP. This weapon is an instant upgrade weapon. You do not need to upgrade the base on this. You can just make it a 5-star and put a weapon in their hands that you want. And you saw the potential of each of the different types of weapons. The 20% AP to self means that she could potentially get a first turn rush. The double attack weapon means you can just spread burn off of the first turn if you hit the double attack just from that. And it would also work with her rush, so her rush could potentially hit up to 8 times. You could potentially give her a double attack rampage weapon, so the burn would still be good, but she'd also be very, very good with her rush in the hits. So she'd be kind of like a mini princess, but the burn as well. And again, you'd probably want to go for attack stat just to build that up as much as possible. Again, it would enhance the burn, but it would also enhance the rush. There's definitely some selections, some choices you've got to make with Andrea 2000 on her weapon, but generally fairly offensive seems to be a good idea. So this is Andrea 2000, and I think she's actually pretty exciting. She's quite a lot like S-Class Job, and I did make a video about the potentials of Conquest teams with Job once upon a time, but obviously with the release of Conquest 3 and 4, you can't take anything but mythic characters on those stages, so Job unfortunately didn't really get a good run at it, and he is of course an S-Class character where he's going to get destroyed, but I built it so that he would rush turn 1, and you can do exactly the same with Andrea here. So the potential for an extremely burny team is quite high. Now obviously if there's resists on those stages, there can be a bit of RNG in there, but there are stages that you can come up against that have no resists at all, and Andrea 2000 is going to be a lot of fun on those stages, I feel. And like I said, I think she's got great potential in raids too, and she can be teamed up with characters like Ty. Ty can get a really good burn off of turn 1, and she can be commanded to spread that twice, and you know, potentially have a double attack weapon where she's going to double attack and spread it twice anyway. Yeah, she's got really good synergy with certain characters. She's a good solo character. I think she's a really nice character, and the fact that you can grind for her yourself by how much energy you want to put in to the daily roadmaps. It's up to you. It's going to be kind of a big grind, but it seems to be worth to at least get 2. At least get 2, but the more you get, the higher stats are going to be, the better that burn's going to be, the better the hits are going to be. I'm going to try for Limit Break 2. This is going to be tough, but I'm going to do my best, because I like Andrea a lot. The big weapon is awesome. I like the big gun a lot. It reminds me of the Doom style weapon, you know, the BFG. But do give me your thoughts in the comments about Andrea. Are you happy with this character as part of the Underground Resistance event? How many characters are you going to try and push for? Are you going to go for 1, 2, 3, 4? Like I said, let me know in the comments down below. That is the end of my video. I want to thank you very much for tuning in. And as always, keep on surviving, guys. Keep on surviving.